All right. Welcome to the FPL America podcast. I am not David Smith. I am Travis Hoig.
Brian Shesko. It is the latest edition.
I do it wrong every time. That's good. That means Dave can have his own thing.
That's right.
No one else can do it. Only he can. He's a black void in between us right now.
He sure is. He had a lot going on tonight, so it's just two of us.
Hey, I had a lot going on too, and I'm still here.
Yeah, I know. That's true.
It's just how it is.
Was one of your litter boxes overflowing?
No, but I have had like literally the worst 2 weeks with sickness. We talked about it last week.
Yeah.
I still have a kid that's sick. Like, it's just like keep passing stuff around. It's not even the same thing. It's like all these different sicknesses. I guess it's that time of year. My son, I think he had like 3 kids in his class that actually showed up. The rest of them were out.
Wow.
So much so that the teacher ended up having to send all the work home, and the kids that were at school basically did nothing.
Wow.
So that was real exciting. He hadn't been in school for a week between the different sicknesses. No fun.
Say it's going around.
It is going around.
Yeah, it is going around.
A lot of things are going around.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what else is going around? Getting puppies, because that's one of the other things he's got happening at his house right now.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear the story next week.
The excuses as to why he buckled under and picked up a dog.
Like I've said repeatedly to close friends and family and even coworkers at different times, I am not anti-animal. I am anti-pet.
Oh.
Animals are fantastic as long as they're not in my house under my care, costing me my money.
So you'd be fine with like having livestock, just not like pets in the house.
Yeah, who's taking care of the livestock?
Well, you are,
another guy?
No, you.
A farmer of some sort?
You got a little patch over by your garage there.
Is he showing me? Is he showing me what he does to the cows sometimes to care for them?
What's he doing?
Feeding, I guess. Pointing them toward the bin. Of corn. What do they? I don't know. The point is, no, I wouldn't even be okay with that. Animals are stinky, and I don't like having animal stink on my hands. So that's a big part of it for me.
All right.
We do have a cat, so I can't say I'm entirely immune to this, but that's about as much. Actually, when I was walking out the door today, was to drop my daughter off before I came over here. On the way out, I was like, "Oh, hey, Zoe puked." I looked, there it is. There's cat puke right there on the floor on the way out the door. So I was like, "All right, hey, don't forget to tell Mom when we come. Then when you guys get back, that she puked there." So anyway, I don't like that either.
The
point is, Dave now has complicated his life, and I'm sure
he's never coming back.
He may not. He will have plenty to say the next time. In the meantime, we should at least talk about the stuff that has to go on for the rest of the world, the things that really matter.
Match week 27.
Fantasy Premier League, match week 27, and now 28 coming up.
All right. We get into it?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess we should probably start with the doubling people, since that seems to be the...
Yeah, so Bournemouth and Luton.
That's right. Is everyone still jazzed about this? Bournemouth and Luton doubling?
Was anyone ever jazzed about this? I mean, you spent a good little while
poo-pooing I know we did.
About how there's so few people to choose from.
Well, I guess.
Which is even more so true now.
But even this week, like, did we even learn anything about, like, after their matches? Like,
Bournemouth can win, I don't want to say dirty because that's not, win ugly.
Yeah, it was definitely ugly. Part of it was, Solanke was injured, but not that injured. He obviously was injured, not injured enough to play 88 minutes. And he blanked, just like you probably were not hoping, but maybe in the back of your mind you expected that was going to be the case.
Well, there was still a chance he wasn't going to play, so he at least got something.
Right. The fact that he was out there for that long is positive. Right. Iraola, after the match, described him as missing some sharpness, but otherwise left the match unscathed. Fire up the remaining three times captain chips. Get those triple captains. Start warming up the triple captain fingers if you haven't already, I suppose.
Here's the thing. I 100% agree with your tongue-in-cheek assessment of that. But is it bad that I'm still thinking about it?
No.
Because I honestly think that it has the potential to be fine. You're always worried about anytime you're playing a chip, the matchups being just too good, because they almost always are in the end, and you're disappointed. But I feel like this is one of those ones that could be season-defining.
You didn't use it on Holland.
I need a punt. There is going to be options, and I know we're planning to talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
Here in the next several game weeks, but they're not looking as lucrative or as enticing as they maybe were before.
Yeah.
A week or so ago. This one still feels like I go to Sheffield and Luton. If you are looking for a striker matchup, and you could just draw it out on paper, there's literally no other two teams you would draw it up against.
Yeah, I don't think so. That's the thing about it, is that the fixtures are on paper are so good, attacking wise.
Someone is going to score against both of those teams for Bournemouth.
Yeah, you'd imagine.
The question then becomes, though, is Solanke going to be involved in that?
And the likelihood of that is high. It's just a question of, does he do it in both matches? And if he does, then you feel great about it.
And he's a player that is likely to play both matches as long as he's not injured. He is carrying something, so there's
but he already
risk
said
there.
it was a Sky Sports person asked him if he was going to be fit for both matches, and he said, "Yeah, I should be fit for both." So,
yeah,
I guess my question afterwards was kind of like, so first of all, it was like their this audition, I guess you could say, was poor. So Solanke blanks. Kluivert, who nobody's on, gets the goal.
Good goal.
A fine goal.
Bad defending.
Tavernier, who everybody is buying for some reason, looked terrible.
He wasn't very useful out wide.
Continues his streak of no returns since game week 20. The thing with Tavernier, too, he's had one game since game week 20 with an expected goal involvement over 0.3. So so goal and assist, XG and XA combined, only one time, and that was against Fulham in game week 24. And it's largely because he had an assist in that game.
Yeah.
So he's one that already I would just say, like, there's nothing about his performances where you're like, well, it's coming. It's almost there. It's not. He looked awful. Did he get a yellow card in this match? I feel like there was something. I feel like he did something where it was like
something silly. Yeah,
it was
I think
dumb.
You might be right.
And then Lewis Cook ends up getting gets the assist. Ends up being the Lewis Cook game, which nobody's doing any. You're not doing anything about that.
Yeah.
Senesi, who everybody bought in droves ahead of this match,
and
were you on?
I mentioned he would probably be one of the only Bournemouth players to consider. Is now not on the table.
Keep buying him, folks. As of a little bit ago, he was the 5th most transferred in for defenders.
Is there any news on that?
The
I didn't even look
6th most
to
transferred out.
What Ben Dennery
Areola
was
confirms a hamstring injury, and since the game ended, Senesi has dropped out of his involvement with Argentina. So he is not. He dropped out of the Argentinian national team. I'd say it's pretty safe to say he's not playing in this double game week.
Clear strain in the hamstring. Hope it's not very big.
Yeah.
Bad moment collectively. We don't have enough defenders.
Areola said, I hope it's not very big. And he said, I hope he can go to Argentina. So even before this, it was like, I hope he can. He also said after the game that it's a really good thing that Meps came in and played a good game, meaning Mepham.
Mepham, yeah.
So
he did play pretty well. That is a fair assessment. So, I'm also looking here. I'm on Dennery's premierinjuries.com injury table, and I am seeing that it looks like Lloyd Kelly is expected to be back in contention, maybe not playing, but in contention this week, which is good. He's been out for a while, so
if he is,
that might keep Senesi out of the risk it column.
Well, it would definitely keep him out. The question would be, does it do anything to Kirkez? So Milos Kirkez is the other. That's the one who, if I was picking, I mean, that's who I've been looking.
Defender.
Yeah,
Not
that's who I've been.
Zabarny.
I mean, that's the guy that's the most secure for minutes other than Neto.
He played really well.
Yeah,
He played
it's
really
just,
well. Kept him in that match.
like you're just expecting nothing other than you hope it's a clean sheet against Sheffield. That's it.
I like the Neto shout, though.
I just don't think you're doing anything with you're not. I would assume Bournemouth is no. It's not like there's some defensive juggernaut. This is not like Bournemouth has, like, you can't get through these guys. Burnley should have. I mean, Burnley is like a miracle save away from not getting a draw in this game.
That was a good save. Also, they can't score to save their lives anyway. So even if they like rolled the ball towards the net and they said we're not going to touch it, Burnley would find a way not to score that.
Right, and that's the thing. Like Sheffield, I know they're bad, but like I mean, everyone is. I mean, it'll just be forgotten in like just be the dust of this season at some point. But they beat Luton 3-1. What, 4 weeks ago, something like that. A week where it was like, hey, Alfie Doughty is finally was on everyone's radar, and it looked like a real plus matchup, and then it turns into Sheffield just smashes them for some reason. That's it. I think that was all the offense they had left for the rest of the season. They're awful in a way that is, I mean, the fact that they
historic.
The fact that they could break the record for most goals conceded to beat a record that was when the league was 42 games instead of 38. It says kind of all you need to know about this Sheffield United team. They're unwatchably bad. Even in the match this week, the Arsenal match, whoever, I can't remember who was calling it. It wasn't Drury.
I didn't watch, so I don't know.
Just saying, it's not like Sheffield fans to abandon the team in the middle of a match, and you had fans leaving probably around halftime. It's just been like that for them, this season. So whatever, they're awful. I just don't think that the Luton Bournemouth game in this double, I guess what I'm asking is, are we absolutely sure that Luton at Palace and at Bournemouth isn't better than Bournemouth at home against Sheffield and Luton?
Does one have to be better than the other? There's just the two. Can't you? I mean, limited options.
The Sheffield match probably swings it, but I guess what I'm saying is it doesn't feel like it's miles away.
Are you saying go Carlton Morris, triple captain, not Solanke?
Yeah, I guess I'm asking that. So the reason why, here's some numbers for you. So he gets a goal this week. Since game week 19. So this is since after Christmas. This is a long amount of time. He's got 5 goals and 2 assists. He is third in forward scoring since game week 19. Højlund has 55 points. Watkins has 73 points. Carlton Morris, 54 points.
Huh.
So pretty good. He's tied for 6th for shots. He's tied for 4th for shots on target. So 20 shots total, 12 shots on target, 7 big chances. So he's got 5 goals on 7 big chances. That's great. And creative enough. Miraculously creative. 4 assists from 5 total chances created. But he created 3 big chances. I guess what I'm saying is Carlton Morris, especially now where he is the guy, no word necessarily on where Adebayo is, even if he is fit. It's a hamstring injury. I totally would agree. No one that has soft tissue injury, muscle injury like that, no one's getting rushed back from those kinds of things at all just because of the prevalence of injuries.
Yeah.
Especially this season. So, I don't hate. Carlton Morris, you want to go nuts? Triple captain Carlton Morris this week. It's not insane. This Crystal Palace team, they're still missing Mark Gahey. What did they do? Now it's Joachim Anderson. They played it back. They played back 5 basically. 3. Instead of Gahey and Anderson pairing. No, I guess they did. They held Tottenham sort of in check, I guess, for a while, but it was still 14 shots to 4 for Tottenham. It's not like this Crystal Palace team is it's not like they're tightened up, is what I'm saying. And Luton has shown. One of the numbers I thought was kind of most telling, I guess, is that if you sort, so we've said it before, we use Fantasy Football Fix for our stats on the show. You can sort expected goals, for the team. And since game week 19, same thing, going back to game week 19, if you sort by team expected goals, Luton's peak expected goals is 16.3. Bournemouth's is 13.3. So Luton is just, you see it you can see it with your own eyes. When Luton is not backing down from anybody.
They're on the front foot.
They are going after
Always.
it. So a lot, and that's the reason why it's the Doughty and Morris show for them. So
to a large degree. So is there no one else on the Luton side that you would consider beyond those two?
Only Ross Barkley, because you're not doing anything with. Because if you're picking a defender, you're not putting the goalkeeper in. You're not going more than one defender. So if it's Doughty and that's it.
Yeah.
If you really wanted to do it, you could go. So there's Ross Barkley, who he had a nice run, game weeks 14 to 23. That was his best stretch of games. Had 49 points in that run of matches, but he's had just 7 points since game week 23. He's top 7 to 10-ish for attacking stats, like a decent number of shots, decent number of chances created. I just don't like if you're not bringing him in. I guess you're not making it. It's no permanent transfer.
Yeah, but something that is important to note though is that Luton plays in 29. In 29.
That is that's the only
and
really
it's Nottingham
good thing
Forest at home.
Yeah, it's
which is a
good match,
a pretty important designation. So bringing somebody in like Ross Barkley for 2 game weeks, a double, and then a Nottingham Forest at home in a match week where basically no one else plays, is probably not crazy.
If you feel like the most insane version of yourself, FPL wise, if you wanted to go to Heat Chong,
no.
You could go. It's 0.3 cheaper than Ross Barkley. He's gone 5.57 in his last 3 game weeks. So he scored for Luton this last week. Stats are meh.
Yeah, I have so many mixed feelings.
He doesn't take a ton of shots. I think So
he's a great player.
I mean, he created the goal for Morris 2 weeks ago. So. Yeah, it's just six shots in 3 weeks is anybody does that. So there are defenders who take more shots than that. Plus, he has my favorite thing where he has 2 assists from 1 chance created. That's my favorite. I don't know.
Was he laying on the ground and the ball bounced off of him?
FPL assists are assists, man. So
I got you.
No, he's a guy he's an eye test guy, I think. Ross Barkley has done the same thing. Like he's had moments where you're like, "Oh, hey, Ross Barkley looks kind of good there." But
Ross Barkley is about as enticing to bring in as like a Kovacic. They're a similar type of player where when they're banging them in, they're usually worldies and they're hard workers for their team. But at the end of the day, like they're not fantasy.
I just think you'd hate
machines.
You'd hate yourself.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. That's why this week I'm like, no one's pumped about this. You're not excited to bring in Kluivert. That's not a.
I don't know. He's a weirdly proportioned guy. Like he's so short, but he's like like a Shaqiri type of build where you just have like that.
Like good symmetry.
I
can't think
like
of
the wrong symmetry. Like
yeah,
it's like he should be taller than he actually is because of the shape of his head and how wide his shoulders are. It's just weird. Anyways, he's a power cube as well.
Well, keep your eyes on him this week if you're bringing him in your team. That's what I'm saying. I just if you're, I just can't. I looked at free hitting. I looked for in 29. I looked at wild carding this week to set myself up to not have to free hit in 29. I've looked at a variety of ways of doing this, and every time I'm like, the way I have it set up now, because I think the next the question after that is, if your team this week, I'm already not happy about having to bench Cole Palmer in favor of playing normal other players. So if
Newcastle home is not a...
I don't hate it. It's not my favorite matchup, and I think the leakiest possible version of Newcastle
for sure
is a good matchup. But like, am I playing Cole Palmer over Jared Bowen home against Burnley? No. Am I playing Cole Palmer at home against instead of Saka at home against Brentford? Absolutely not.
Unless he's not available.
Am I doing it Son at Aston Villa? I'm not playing Cole Palmer over Son in any matchup almost.
He didn't do anything this week though.
He did.
What did he do?
He scored a goal.
Oh, did he? Okay. I'd have to admit, during the match week, I may or may not have been bent over a toilet throwing up.
Oh, great! Yes.
So I caught the tail end of the game week, but I missed a good chunk of it. So I'm not particularly useful when it comes to results.
Well, I'm just saying, like, to me, that's the same thing. Like, in all of those cases, like, am I selling Cole Palmer for Kluivert or Tavernier? Am I really doing that? Because then the question, the guy where you're like, all right, am I playing Ollie Watkins? Villa's playing Spurs at home. Am I playing Ollie Watkins in that match? Why wouldn't I?
Yeah,
You already have Solanke. Everyone's got Solanke for the double. Am I benching Haaland against Liverpool in favor of being able to play Carlton Morris? Some people are doing that.
Honestly, I don't know that that's a terrible shout. Those games tend to be real tight or real lopsided, and I don't think it's going to end up being
and I was going to ask
lopsided.
I was going to ask you kind of how you feel about because the next two matches for Manchester City are Liverpool and Arsenal.
It's the title will be decided in the next two matches.
So I guess that was going to be one of my big questions for the week for you and for Dave of like, what are you expecting here? Your defense is not in any way. This is not a very good version of the Liverpool defense.
And Konate pulled up in the match in Europe as well.
Is Joe Gomez injured?
He is not. He played today as well.
Okay.
He did not play well, though. He got pulled prematurely, I think.
Okay. So I guess that's why I'm saying, like, the decision of, like, who to bring in here, like, if you're setting yourself up where you're like, all right, I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm going to lose my Manchester City people, and I'm not going to go after Salah right now. Like, I'm just going to go into this. Right. If you want to do that, that's totally fine, I suppose. Just to me, it seems like, let's go back head to head. Manchester City versus Liverpool. It's gone. So last time you played, it was 1-1. April 1st, 2023, Manchester City smashed you
at Etihad
4-1.
Yeah.
League Cup final 12-22-22. 3-2 Manchester City. And then in the league in October 2022, Liverpool 1, Manchester City 0. So 2, and then if you go back before that, it was 3-1 Liverpool, 3-2 Liverpool, 2-2 draw. That goes all the way back into April 2022 in all competitions.
Yeah, I don't think it will be a goalless draw, but I don't think there's a lot of goals in it. There's different personnel in these matches, but yeah, I tend to think it's going to be tighter for sure, which means that not having Salah...
It feels like it's set up for the very typical Manchester City ball dominant, Liverpool hopeful for a counterattack. Darwin Nunez starts, who can't stop scoring goals.
On fire.
Salah back in the team, so Salah gets the start this time. Probably. So then it's just a question
he looked fit.
Right. Yeah. Then it's a question of does your shoddy defense hold up for the barrage, and can they get City back on the counterattack?
I don't know that we're necessarily shoddy defensively right now. Ultimately, the only thing on the defense that is really missing is Alisson. And Queef Kelleher has been playing pretty solidly. He's kept us in a couple of matches here recently. He played very well today as well. So I don't know that's necessarily going to be where it is.
Okay.
Again, do I think that there's going to be a clean sheet in this match for either side? Probably not. But I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be a goal fest.
Okay.
So I would say. I honestly think it's probably going to be a draw. I honestly, if you handed it to me right now, I'd probably take a draw.
Yeah.
The problem though is that following week, if Arsenal beats City, title's decided. I think at that point, which is disappointing. The draw becomes disappointing.
Well, I'm personally hoping for 2-2 and that all of the usual suspects for Manchester City score, and that let's see. I hope Endo. And Andy Robertson.
There you go.
Score,
people that no one has
score for Liverpool. Yeah. That's my hope.
Yeah.
No, all of that to say, like, if your decision, like, to me, I don't like. I feel like there should be a goal each minimum for Liverpool and City. So. Yeah, I guess if the comparison is like Haaland might get one, and that's up against what you think Carlton Morris can do for Luton against Crystal Palace and Bournemouth, and you want to make the calculated decision of like, I'm going to take Carlton Morris, who's the third highest scoring forward since game week 19. I'm going to take my chances and hope that he can outscore Erling Haaland, in his 2 matches. Then, yeah, that's a movie make. To me, it's just wild that's how we're making these decisions.
Yeah, I get it. I guess that's where I'm at. I get it. The possibility that Carlton Morris scores in 2 game weeks is against Crystal Palace and Bournemouth is on his current form. It's probably his current form is probably stronger than Erling Haaland. I mean, based off of the numbers, it is. So why would we bet against that? I guess. Because of one being a better player.
Now you're making me want a wild card. I actually have the numbers too on because Foden is Foden's been the guy since Haaland came back from his injury. Foden has outshot him, outscored him in every possible way. So the shots normally were so dominated by Haaland. But that's not the case. Foden has outshot him by 2, and he's got more shots on target than Haaland does.
Yeah, so Haaland isn't getting service since he's come back in the same way that he was before. It's almost like the team remembered how to cope without a striker leading the line.
Yeah,
and now that they have a striker leading the line, they've forgotten how to play with him.
See, this is don't you think this is a hilarious thing about the way they've done price rises and falls now, where Haaland was so close to yet another price rise even earlier this week, and now his transfer is out. Like, he's gonna, before the kickoff on Saturday, he's gonna be one of the most transferred out, I would imagine. And I just, if his price doesn't move, it's all you got to just say it's
weird.
It's a ridiculous bias. It's an annoying thing. Because in that case, I probably would think about doing it just so that I didn't get knocked out of another 10th. I need those 10ths. I know I've said I don't need the 10th. He's the 3rd most transferred out for forwards right now. Julian Alvarez and Ivan Toney beating him for transfers out.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. If I had the option between the two, or City assets going out for Luton or even Bournemouth assets for that matter, I don't know. I don't think I would.
Yeah.
I don't think I would bite on that.
I just it just is so like, I want to, like, I am the permanent podcast cheerleader for double game weeks. And this double game week, I'm like, wherever I got the 2 guys that I want the most, my decision would be, because I have a Stupinian. So like, just for as a transfer decision, I'm sure plenty of people would have that. Do I really take a Stupinian out because for me it would be Kirkes. Let's say it's him from Bournemouth. Am I really playing him in his double game week over Saliba or Gabriel? because Doughty already has a spot. Alfie Doughty's in there, and I don't want to play more than 3 defenders. Because in that case, then I'm also like, I'm benching Phil Foden to be able to play a Bournemouth defender. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
no, I do.
That to me seems an insane thing to do. But the point of selling a Stupinian would be to get somebody in who's either playing this week in a double or somebody that sets me up for this week and blank 29. So there's no, like, it either has to be him or, like, it really turns into, like, am I buying Anthony Robinson from Fulham for a Stupinian? That's the kind of, like, decision, like, for planning that I feel like you're having to do. And all of it for the sake of taking out, because that's the way my team is set up, it would be taking out Gabriel or Saliba. Like, that seems to me an insanity.
Why not someone like I don't know, like a Mengi or something from Luton, bringing another play for a Stupinian. So Stupinian's
didn't Kabore play? I feel like Kabore was out there this time.
He did. He's out there, but I don't know.
Played 90 minutes. Look at that. He's all back. Great. He got 9 in the bonus point system. That's terrific. Yeah. Look, I guess that's plenty. I mean, I'm not sure where people are and like
conceded many goals, but
I'm not sure where you are in the Bournemouth and Luton debate and how many of these guys you want. To me, like beyond Solanke and Doughty, like you're doing it because they play twice and you are just
and Morris potentially.
and Carl Morris. Yeah, I like Morris as a pick. For sure, but after that, I think it would be Neto, and then Prayers, because that's to me is
maybe
that's
Kirkesh, maybe somebody like Kabore. I think that we've given it a significant amount of time. That is the primary talking point here. Is what the hell do you do for 29 and looking at the doubles that are out there.
Yeah, I guess if you're prioritizing, that's the part of it that's really hard, because then if you're prioritizing one of the two, you're picking. You want to lean towards Luton
because of the 29.
Then Carlton Morris, becomes somebody that, depending on how you're navigating,
and a matchup for Carlton Morris against Nottingham Forest at home is fantastic. Like you love that. So I like that. It's something I'm going to play with a little bit more too, to see if that makes sense on my side, because I do have options. But cool.
All right.
What else did we have that was interesting this game week? Do we have any other fixtures that were worth going through?
Yeah. Well, so since you can't do anything about it this week, I mean, you probably have what you have, and I don't think unless you're either wild carding or you're already, if you're free hitting 29 and you have a transfer that you need to burn in your midfield. The Arsenal midfield did exactly what we talked about last week, where not just any of them can get you something anytime. Every one of them got you a lot this week. So if I was gonna make it, do you want me to announce it while it's just the two of us, or should I have waited? Do you want me to wait until Dave is back, assuming next week?
It's up to you.
Because I was gonna make I'll wait for Dave. I feel like it matters for Dave. I'll just bump my notes up. But there's something important I wanted to say about Arsenal, but it was gonna be a podcast announcement. But I'll save it. I'll save it for Dave.
All right. I'm sure he'll appreciate that.
I think the only guys who didn't score for Arsenal this week were Gabriel and Saliba. I'm pretty sure.
I mean,
I think literally every other guy did something.
From
both of the defenders did. So Kiwior and Ben White both did.
Well, at least had an assist, but
got some kind of return in addition to the clean sheet. So Declan Rice did, Martinelli did, Saka did, Odegaard did. Havertz did. So again, it's
basically everybody.
Your useless forwards did nothing. Did Trossard come off the bench?
Trossard did, I believe. He came off.
I don't think he got anything.
He came off at the 74th. It came on in the 74th minute.
Yeah. What is this though? Like, what is this thrashing? Look at their goals.
What, 3 weeks in a row?
It's a lot of weeks in a row. Go back on this winning streak and look at the number of goals. Like, this is ridiculous.
I mean, yeah.
Because my question was going to be, like, seriously, like, would you dare put two of these guys, or even like after like after they're done with Manchester City in game week 30, knowing that they're going to have to push the rest of the season for the title, that you pick three of these guys? You can't do three midfielders. I know that's too nuts. Like, you can't do Saka, Havertz, and Odegaard or something like that. Just take your defenders out.
You're really boxing yourself out of other options.
Look at their goals.
Useful. Having three Arsenal players is not a bad thing. I think a good number of people do.
Would you sacrifice, at this point, I don't know how you don't sacrifice one if you have two defenders, or if you have Raya, Saliba, Saka, how you don't get rid of one of the defensive players
to try and pull in
to do two midfielders.
So,
but the problem is
why? I guess so.
I'm just saying because
this game by itself, yeah, maybe. But even then, Ben White scores a goal, right?
Yeah.
So I guess my point is that Saliba and Gabriel are still in this match getting clean sheet points.
Right, they still got clean sheets.
And they're scoring, and at least Gabriel's scoring in other matches. So I don't know that that's necessarily...
I guess what I'm thinking
is... so many fewer defenders that you're missing out on by having two Arsenal defenders.
What makes... And the midfield is way more stacked as far as attacking. I understand that. I guess what I'm saying is, like, if they're not scoring a set-piece goal, which they're not going to every week, they've scored a lot. Yeah. They've scored a lot of set-piece goals. It doesn't necessarily have to go to Gabriel or Saliba.
That's true.
So that's the first thing. But, like, back to Crystal Palace in game week 21, they've scored... 2 is the lowest at Nottingham Forest. But it's 5-0, 3-1 against your guys. They smash West Ham. They obliterate Burnley. Those are both teams that were bad, or at least in bad moments. They destroy Newcastle. And that's the thing the announcer said during the game was, like, they're doing this to good teams and bad teams. Mm-hmm. It would be one thing if they were only, like, absolutely crushing the worst teams. They should. But now it's like the ruthlessness of scoring 6 against Sheffield.
Yeah.
Like, it really was a stop, he's already dead moment for Arsenal, and they didn't stop. Like, I guess what I'm saying is, you look back through, since game week 21, Saka is your number one of your number one. He's the number one scoring midfielder, but Havertz has 51 points.
Yeah.
Since game week 21.
That.
Martinelli's got 50. Like, those are scores that are like, Dave went to Odegaard. That was going to be my question to him, was, do you regret going to Odegaard? Because since game week 21, Odegaard and Declan Rice are tied with 43 points each. Havertz and Martinelli have outscored both of those guys. And then it's like shots. It's like Saka's like he's leading in everything.
Yeah.
Except for chances created, but he's still creating a lot because he's on set pieces. He's taking corners for them, and he's taking some, obviously he's the first choice penalty taker, so whatever. Like, we haven't seen one of those in a while. But, like, all the rest of the numbers are kind of everywhere. Martinelli is second for shots. Trossard is third. Odegaard's fourth. Havertz is actually fifth out of the midfield for shots. But he's the second highest scoring midfielder for them. He actually did do it again, where he gets a goal and an assist. Like, how could you not be thinking about a guy who now has decided to find, like, the actual form of his life, playing in this, like, free-flowing, just crush everyone that stands in their way sort 100%. Of offense? Like, the big chances are, and they're spread out. Saka's got 6 since game week 21. Havertz has 5. Martinelli's got 4, and Trossard's got 3. Odegaard's the one who's only got 1 big scoring chance. But we said that a few weeks ago, where, like, Odegaard he's not in the box. He's not going to be a shot volume guy, but he is the chance creator of the league for midfielders. So he's number one for chances created by. He's got 26 chances created. Saka's got 16. That's not bad. Saka getting 16, and Declan Rice is third with 14. Like,
who's also taking some of the farther out free kicks.
It's just like
which is where that's coming from.
Like the only issue this week was that Saka got subbed at 45 minutes. You should have captained him. Why didn't everybody captain him? It made the most sense. They said illness first, and then Arteta said after the match it was a little issue. He said Martinelli and Saka had a little issue, but we'll see how they feel.
What that even means.
Pain in the Arsenal blog, paininthearsenal.com, go check them out if you're an Arsenal fan, said that Arteta is confident that both Saka and Martinelli will be fit for Brentford. So, okay then. I wouldn't necessarily worry about it, but like, I guess that's my question. Like, are you even remotely thinking of selling these guys? If you were trying to, like, you're not getting rid of anybody ahead of them against Brentford.
No.
Ben Miles Brentford, who can't stop anything. Like, they're going to score 6 again this week.
Probably.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, who's got the ceiling here? Kai Havertz.
Probably. He's 7-1 right now.
Not for long.
Yeah. I'm afraid of Kai Havertz, simply because, what's the phrase? The zebra doesn't change their stripes.
Uh-huh.
And he sure has a long history of flashes in the pan, doesn't he?
I don't feel like it's been like this, though. I don't feel like
Does
his
it ever,
best.
Though? Do any of the flashes ever feel like the last one?
I don't know, man. Whatever this is, this is confidence that I don't know. You'd have to ask a Chelsea fan if you ever saw this at his peak.
The false horizons, yeah.
What if your midfielders after blank game week 29 are Saka, Havertz, Salah, Son, and Foden? What if that's your midfield?
Sure. I mean,
how is that? How is that wrong?
It's not necessarily wrong, but that 7-1 from Havertz could go towards a Bowen, or I mean, there's a couple of other guys you could pick up pretty easily that are.
It would be. Yeah.
I mean, even like an Anthony Gordon is doing more than
Cole
Havertz,
Palmer,
right? Yeah.
For the season, yes.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying,
not even recently.
Yeah. After they finish Manchester City, Arsenal will thrash Luton at home in game week 31. They will go to Brighton in game week 32 and absolutely thrash them. They get Aston Villa at home in game week 33. That is a revenge game because there is no way in the world this Aston Villa team is holding this Arsenal team to 1-0 again. That will not happen.
I would agree with that, but I think Aston Villa is also on the ascendancy. And
not defensively, though.
No, well, no, but you don't have to.
I think they'll be ready. I mean, I think it's a great game. I'm sure it'll be a great game, but this is at Emirates. So to me, that's the
library
again. Advantage Arsenal, and then they're at Wolves in game week 34, which by then, who knows if that turns into a double game week because they still have a home match against Chelsea that needs to get rescheduled somewhere along the way. Which I think that's still. Yeah. I think my assumption is everything's going to game week 37. That's where Ben Carlin has the likeliest double game week for Arsenal, which that game week 37, that double. You want to triple captain Saka that week at Manchester United,
real serious
at Wolves.
Yeah, seeing the
or home Chelsea.
That's a really good point. It's not necessarily is the Solanke matchup too good. It's what other matchup is there going to be, or what other hot player is there going to be out there?
Everyone keeps saying title could be decided by, and you. I mean, I'm sure there.
I said it twice
just a couple minutes ago. I remember you said it. I guess my question is that this is amazing. With 3 teams this tight, at what point are any of them going to stop?
Well, that's a really good question. And after I said it the first time, I actually thought about it a little bit. Injuries matter.
It would take an injury.
Injuries matter. And,
if somehow Foden blows an Achilles,
absolutely turn
City's
on
in
its
trouble.
head.
If Rodri goes out again for City, they're in trouble.
Yeah.
If Salah blows another hammy at some
You
point,
could be in trouble. Yeah, or Van Dijk, or
right. You're
right.
already a month.
Yeah.
You are already a month away from getting
Yeah.
Jota and other people. Getting someone like that back. If you lose another one, and you're having to start Harvey Elliott more, you're going to have more
He's been
problems.
starting quite often. But yeah, I'm right there with you. It's a very interesting season. I love that we have. Honestly, there's 4 teams in this. Villa is not that far off.
Yeah. If
They're
Villa
not
beats Spurs
that
this
far
week
off.
and you get a bunch of draws otherwise, Villa's right up there.
I just think, again, especially with the way that they've been playing, even with the defense being questionable, at least the recognizable players being questionable, I think that this is going to be a really, really great finish to the season.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what happens.
I guess
I hope that things continue the way they have been, and my team ends up lifting the trophy. But just enjoying the ride right now is so much more fun.
Yeah, I am just going to be really torn. I think the more, like, there's still something. I mean, yeah, you'd feel weird buying Havertz or I think Martinelli if you already have Saka. For whatever reason you don't, if you're one of the tiny percentage of active players that doesn't have Saka,
That wasn't bullied into buying.
It was
him.
not bullied into it. I like, you got to have somebody. You'd have to have one of them. And I would say the same thing about the defenders, but like, I just keep looking at them like, if I need Salah money, which I do, how Kiwior does not end up as a replacement for, like, Saliba out, Kiwior in, with the possibility at some point of me saying, forget the Arsenal defense entirely. I'll take my chances with their, because like, I guess what I'm saying is you're not counting on a clean sheet. Like this week, probably, like, it seems like their clean sheet odds would be high. Brentford can, but it just doesn't seem like they're just not in a great spot. We have blank game week 29 for Arsenal. Game week 30 at City. There's no way they're keeping. I don't think they keep a clean sheet there.
I would agree with that.
Then we go. You got the 2-match run where you got Luton and Brighton. Okay, you can probably get them there. I'm just like, but I feel like every time I'm like, I would want an attacker against these teams.
So let me ask you this:
in all circumstances, Aston Villa, I would want an attacker against Aston Villa.
Kiwior is a great shout. You've been saying it for a couple weeks. I mean, we almost named our episode after Kiwior because of a statement you made. So I think that's great. But to your point, what about the midfield? If you wanted a cheap midfielder,
it's Declan Rice.
It's Declan Rice. It's that's where 5'4". Declan Rice is doing a similar amount of things to Kiwior right now.
Yeah.
He and comparatively, he's in that bargain basement. Is that a real consideration? Is that a real thing that someone could do?
Yeah,
and not be like, it's so weird to think.
Could do it. I wouldn't want to. But there's obviously, I think it's obvious because of set pieces, it changes it for him. And then if they're going to thrash people, all of them will get chances to score.
Yeah.
And they are shown, like, that was another talking point during the match. It was goal differential could end up mattering in the title race. So why don't you take every advantage of your chances to score as many goals as you possibly can? Why wouldn't you do it? And they are doing that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, this is where I get it. There's going to be a template. There's going to be, you're going to look at matchups and you're going to say, oh man, like Cole Palmer and Chelsea's got a lot of really good matches coming up. And I'm like, guess what? Chelsea has shown what they are not capable of doing all season. Going 7 weeks in a row, scoring between 3 and 6 goals against every opponent.
And as it stands right now, Arsenal has 10 more goals than Manchester City ahead of them.
Yeah.
In differential, and 6 more goals than Liverpool, which is a great margin to have. A great margin to have.
Yeah.
So I like it.
It's all good. And then, I mean, it's as good as Arsenal is, Sheffield is the exact mirror opposite, worse. We've already said that. It is dismal, and there seems like there's not even, they are the most targeted target that you can target.
So are there any other matches or teams that you want to discuss? We've spent a significant amount of time on the double, the blank, Arsenal.
Yeah, I want to talk about your guys.
What about?
Especially when Dave's not here.
What about?
First of all Darwin has to do, let's talk about Nottingham Forest and Liverpool, because that was a miracle win for you guys. Darwin,
I missed it because I was sick.
Well,
I seen the replay though.
Yeah. While you were puking, Darwin scores a 96-minute winner for you, saves your
season,
saves the moment of this in this part of the season. Also crushing the Euros today. I'm assuming you saw him score.
His second goal was
rockets
really,
after rockets.
Really good.
Whenever Liverpool gets whatever the double is, it's going to include Everton. I'm assuming Darwin will be in everybody's team then, but you're not buying him now. I don't think you're doing that, right?
He is a form striker, but no, probably not. Probably not, especially with them blanking.
Game week 30, you go back home and you go back to back. So in game week 30, this is where the non-insanity of Darwin comes back. You're home Brighton in 30 and home Sheffield in 31. Would you want two at that point?
Two
Liverpool.
I mean,
you already have Salah.
You would. I want Salah to be in my team for those two matches for sure. So if you don't have him, I think it makes sense after 29
you're
to
definitely
bring him back
captaining. If you don't have Salah, you're gonna hate life in game week 30 because City and Arsenal are playing each other. You will be less inclined to captain a City player. You probably won't want to captain an Arsenal player in that game.
It's just dicey.
And the whole time you'll be staring at Liverpool playing at home against Brighton, who is an absolute shambles right now.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. I mean,
that is a chance, like that. The teams that are right there having to fight each other, depending on the outcome of your game this week, but. Like that's a massive moment for Liverpool to absolutely stomp the life out of
and get
two
the goals.
Two terrible teams.
Get a
ton of goals.
Yeah, I agree with that. And in that, to answer your question, Nunez and Diaz are probably the only two to consider for bringing another Liverpool player in. I am still not sold on Nunez's fantasy relevance.
Okay.
The numbers don't lie. I'm wrong, but it just doesn't. I have other things I'd rather do. I'd rather have Solanke, who is, at least for the moment, I'd rather have Solanke, but that is starting to wane.
Okay.
And now I'm looking at people like Muniz or a Morris or something like that, so I can get more money elsewhere, as opposed to, going to Darwin, who's a little bit too rich for me.
Yeah.
And Diaz is there, but again, I think Diaz is honestly, Diaz looked really, really tired today.
So my game week this week, just to dig into my team for 2 seconds, was saved by my Liverpool decision and non-decision. So my -4 going into this game week, I ended up getting rid of Kieran Trippier. I finally got rid of Trippier because once the Richarlison news was confirmed that he was going to be out for weeks, immediately I was like, I had said on this very show 1 week ago that I would have gone so far based on Luis Diaz's numbers that I would bring him in just for the week to play against Nottingham Forest. And I was fully prepared to do that until the Richarlison news happened. And then I said, there is no world in which I would not bring in Son over Luis Diaz, regardless of what form
That's
Luis
just
Diaz
your
is
personal bias, though, too.
That
right?
is a Spurs bias. However,
well, sun bias more than anything else.
Sun bias for sure. Now, to hedge, though, to make Sun happened, it was Trippier out, Connor Bradley in.
Oh, a nice one.
So what happened is it turned into what would have been a 1-pointer for Trippier and, Luis Diaz, who gets no return.
Excellent.
In this game for
good.
Sun and Bradley.
Did you play Bradley?
I did.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
That's how you ended up with, what was it, 97?
Yeah, 97.
Ooh, good one.
So Bradley, I was going to say, it's bargain Liverpool. So
yeah,
Kelleher, did you start him?
Yeah, which I shouldn't have because
Right.
my other
You had
goalkeeper was
Areola.
Areola. Yeah.
Lots of 13s on the bench this week. Kelleher, but no, it's awesome still. He got 3 bonus. That's what happens when you have a 1-0 clean sheet. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Even with 2 saves, he gets you all 3 bonus points. He's sort of the poor man's Areola, if you will. But no, Connor Bradley,
The phantom nipple.
I was thrilled, man, because I was I said, I'm sitting there the whole time I'm watching Newcastle, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Wolves suck. They are going to get thrashed. This is 100% a Newcastle clean sheet. I'm just sitting there watching, this is not even, why did I sell Trippier? Because every clean sheet, Trippier gets bonus because he's involved in everything. And then finally I was like, what is he on? I'm going to go check the bonus. I pull up the match information on the app, and I'm like, 51 minutes. Trippier is 51 minutes. And I look and I'm like, oh, he got subbed off because he got his calf injury. And I was like, yes, this is amazing. I swapped a 1-pointer for Bradley's 8 because he got 2 bonus, which was amazing that Konate and Connor Bradley end up with the bonus points in the match. But like you said, Konate possibly.
Yeah, he felt it, and
that seems like abundance of caution.
The quote was, if I sprinted again, it would have been bad. And so he thinks he's going to be okay for City, and Klopp thinks he's going to be okay for City, but they have to wait and see.
Hope he doesn't have to do too many sprints against Manchester City. Yeah, you hardly have to run against those guys.
Kind of stand around and watch him pass.
So here's my question for Salah plan, okay? So first of all, it's hilarious to me that Mo Salah is the number 1 midfield transfer in the previous 2 weeks, where it was already known he was not playing. Okay. Yeah. And then this week, as of a little bit ago, he is the 10th most transferred in for midfielders, and he is definitely playing. I don't understand it, especially unless if that's a wild card move or whatever. People are getting him in and they're just planning on free hit 29, whatever. Fine. When he scores against Manchester City, he's going to be the number 1 midfield transfer in for blank game week 29. Mark my words. Who do you most like getting rid of to accommodate Mo Salah if you do not have Mo Salah? Okay. Of the big names, you would never swap Saka to Salah.
I don't think so. No.
You couldn't do it.
Not right now. If Salah comes back and is scoring a bunch, maybe, but
in a vacuum,
now.
If you had to pick one or the other, you're probably picking Salah
100% of the time.
But we're not in a vacuum. You're
Correct.
in a 5-man midfield, and Saka is the number 1 scoring midfielder in the game.
Yes.
So you cannot get rid of him.
Yes.
So then would you rather have? So the formation, the way I'm swapping things around, right? One of the big sacrificial lambs of of most people's teams is Ollie Watkins. Okay, there's a lot of Ollie Watkins.
Who's a man on fire right now.
I'm getting rid of Ollie Watkins after once they get to Manchester City in game week 31, because they go City, Brentford, Arsenal, Bournemouth, Chelsea, Brighton, Liverpool. They're basically alternating matches where you're that's pretty good, that's not great. That's pretty good, that's not great.
I still feel like Watkins can score against anybody.
So I guess that's one of we're not trying to get into an Aston Villa discussion necessarily, but are you getting rid of Watkins at any point? Do you see yourself getting rid of Watkins at any point?
I don't think so. And that's part of the reason why I'm not on Darwin, is because I am committed to Watkins. I think Watkins is going to continue to do what he's been doing all season.
And you are saying too, you're not losing Haaland.
Yeah. Yeah, I just feel like that's whether I want to or not. It's a differential not to have him, but it could also be it could be a problem for you because he's just owned by too many people.
So like what I was looking at earlier is, do you like or do you like a setup that would be Watkins, Jared Bowen, and Saliba? Or would you rather have
That's what I do
Muniz from Fulham, Salah, and Kivior? Because that's the comparative. Like, that's what I would have to do as an example.
I don't hate that.
That's a set of transfers that I would make. I would have money left over, and I would also with Muniz, Salah, Kivior would still have Son, Saka, Foden, Haaland. Okay? That's my team. But I'm saying, like, what the decision ends up becoming, do I take out $8 Ollie Watkins to go down to, because right now Muniz is 4.5, 4.5, that seems insane. But that all of that money ends up, like, I can now make, you can make Son into Salah easily, pretty much then. Like, or like you lose.
Fulham doesn't blank. Fulham's got a good run coming up too. I don't.
Or would
think
you rather
that's
lose,
terrible.
or do you lose, or like is the priority to get Son in? Like, what Son is capable of, but a lot of it is predicated kind of on how serious. Like Richarlison's saying he's going to be fit to play this weekend, and yet he's never in training pictures. Like, he wasn't in training again today. Porro and Richarlison, neither of them obviously training anywhere. But Richarlison, like, said
they're out stealing candy from children.
Yeah, probably
setting fire to.
But like,
whatever.
When Richarlison's back, which is going to, potentially after, probably after international break, like definitely not this, definitely after probably 29. So game week 30, probably for Richarlison. I guess what I'm saying is you lose Son and keep Jared Bowen. Keep Ollie Watkins and turn Solanke into Muniz. Like, you lose Solanke instead of Watkins.
Solanke is
more sacrificable.
100% more sacrificable.
Okay.
But not until after this game week coming up.
Like, I guess what I'm saying is, like, this to me seems like it. Like, what's his selection percentage right now?
High.
It's high?
I believe so.
It's 20%.
That's high.
It's high-ish.
20.6, yeah.
But that's going to go up. So but I'm saying, like, comparatively, like, that's still a lot of teams that are trying to figure out. Like, if you had De Bruyne, like, if you're still holding on to De Bruyne for some reason, that's an easy swap. Like, and the money is way more manageable to go from 10.6 De Bruyne to 13 Salah. Like, you can find 2.4 way easier than you can if you're like, hey, I got Jared Bowen. I would like to turn 7.6 Jared Bowen into. He's 7.6 for me. I'm saying he's 7.9 in real life. So, like, 7.9 Jared Bowen, I need 5.1 to get to Salah. So I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, the only way to really do that is you have to, like, so then I can't have, like, this is where the wild card or whatever comes in, but then I'm getting rid of, like, Estupiñán is a dead asset anyway, so he can go down to someone way cheaper. But for me, it's like Saliba is the next one, where Saliba turns into
Kivior.
Yeah, pretty much. And then it's the only other way to make up a big chunk of money is either to make turn Son into Salah.
Why not Estupiñán into Kivior?
It's not enough money because Kivior is still 4.3 as we sit here. So that's why I'm saying, like, if you're looking at your team and you're like, Ollie Watkins is my biggest, like, that's my biggest money maker. If I'm not gonna have enough courage to get rid of Haaland, because you can't. If you went, like, obviously, if you went Haaland to Muniz, that's $10. You just made $10. Then you can make your team whatever you want. But now you're without, potentially the number one scorer for the remainder of the season.
Potentially.
I guess that's why I'm like that's my
instead you're out of the number one scorer currently in the league with Watkins,
with Ollie Watkins. Right? True. And so I guess that's
by some 30 points.
Yeah, he's been unbelievable. So I guess that's like I have no idea. Like, part of me says like I know what you've seen what Son is capable of. If you can fit Son in there, like it's what we've talked about all season. It's what I think most FPL accounts are going to talk about at some point is the shuffling around of very good assets.
Yeah.
Like you're sacrificing a very good asset for probably an equally or only slightly better very good asset. But in this case, it's Salah. So it's like in almost every case, you're like, it almost doesn't matter who I'm selling. If it means I'm getting Salah, then it's worth it because of who it is.
Yeah, I mean he's what, like 15 points behind Watkins for the season, and
that's it.
Yeah, I think it's like 16 poins.
Oh,
he's 16 points behind Watkins, and he was out through injury and through AFCON.
Jeez,
it's just weird to me.
See, this is where I would want, like,
if
Dave was here, I would goad you into a Salah versus Watkins points for the rest of the season bet, and try to get one of you to take Watkins over Salah for the rest of the season.
I think he would.
Yeah, he probably would. All right, we'll save that for next week.
Save that. I think he would.
All right, and there's no temptation for you for Trent Alexander-Arnold no matter what happens when he comes back, at whatever point he comes back fit.
Wow.
Okay.
He's still in a brace.
So you're saying
his knee is not.
So
great.
Connor Bradley's in.
Yeah.
For the foreseeable.
Your pickup of Connor Bradley was good. His confidence was not helped today because he scored an own goal.
Oh, okay.
That's the one goal. He put it right in the top corner.
A game where you're thrashing somebody. Who cares?
It was fine. And he had just come on. It was literally his first touch of the
Is
match.
he a buy for you? Is he a buy for you regardless? Like even with would you bring him in if you're wild carding now? Would you bring him in despite the blank in 29? Is he a guy that you feel fine just throwing on the end of your bench?
Yeah, I do.
Because I feel like when you see those fixtures, I feel like Brighton Sheffield at home in 30 and 31. I'm like,
yeah.
I just don't know how you don't look at those and say I'm going triple Liverpool.
Yeah, I think Bradley is a buy. I think he's definitely, if you're looking for a cheap asset to toss on the end of your bench, he is the one. No question, he is the one. He's going to get minutes, way more. I mean, I don't understand why anybody went to Joe Gomez. Bradley was the buy. 100% Bradley was the buy. He still is the buy. So, yeah, I think so.
Can you believe he scored 21 points?
That's wild. He's good, but he's a great player. He's just such a confident kid.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, even this match, like, I don't look at what he did at any point during this game where you're like, he was obviously better than everyone. I think there were moments where you're like, oh, if someone had played a better pass, there were some runs that he made where it was like, oh man, if they were only looking for Bradley in that moment instead of trying to make some other move there, like he had made the decisive run or he had done something that was a little bit more intelligent maybe than somebody else, but just got missed. So the fact that like, I like that he's involved enough that he gets 2 bonus. Yeah. It's just, he is just kind of in that same.
Yeah.
He's not Trent, but that's what Trent does.
They'll put Trent in midfield before they'll pull him with the way he's playing. So. Yeah.
So it's just a nice, and then also like you don't hate it if he gets thrown off at 83 minutes.
Right.
Right. I do like that Liverpool's expected goals conceded was 0.92. Elanga should have scored against. Should have scored.
Should have done a lot of things.
Nottingham Forest. Bad game.
Can we go back to Villa?
Yeah, of course.
Douglas Luiz, another assist this week.
Yep.
He obviously didn't score, but very involved.
Yeah.
He's still got to be part of a conversation, right? I mean, was he 5'7" at this point?
If he went up tonight. So he was still 5'6", and the reason why I know that is because I was looking at it prior to this and thinking, why have I not already, if I was going to get rid of Cole Palmer, this was the way to do it. Cole Palmer out,
5'7",
Louise in. I could not do that now because that's a 10th that I don't have. So, no, he's definitely in the conversation. I mean, his price went up. So he's now matching. Is he the same as Bailey? Is Bailey now the number? They're both 5'7".
Yeah, they
so
are.
They both get an assist this week. I think they match points, right? I think they both finished with 4. Or did Louise go for 5 somehow?
No, I think it was the same. Yeah, you're correct. They both had assists.
Both had 1 assist. So both guys useful. And now you're about to get Spurs at home, where Douglas Luiz rules. West Ham away, where he's not going to get anything because he can't do anything away. And then Wolves home in game week 30, where he's going to crush again. So,
yeah,
if you're buying him, still buy him. He's definitely in the conversation. I'm just surprised to see so many like pundit drafts that are saying like there's a cutoff for Ollie Watkins. Like that's not. I'm not just making that up. Go out there, find your favorite pundit. It's not us.
It's you.
It's not me.
You're the only person I listen to.
Well, there are other pundits.
I don't even listen to him at all. I'm probably going to leave him blacked out and muted even when he
comes back. You already know the matchup rating system is bogus. So
what?
Spurs is a gray matchup.
I would lie on that.
Aston Villa is playing Spurs at home. Why is Spurs gray? They're the most wide open team that there is. I think it
wouldn't be a good episode if you didn't mention the color system.
The projected goals for that match is like 1.98 and 1.97. Like it's basically like the odds makers are saying basically count on 4 goals here. Like it finished 2-1 last time. Son had 3 goals. That was the game with Son had 3 goals ruled out for offside. Like that's not happening again, is it?
I don't know.
I
can't see the future.
He'll find a way to beat the high line this time. At West Ham, what scares you there? Nothing. Home Wolves, what scares you there? Nothing. City is the game week 31. Yeah, because they scored 1 goal against Manchester City, and this time they're away. And that's what I'm saying. There is no way in the world City is getting held 1-0. Their XG was like 4 in that game anyway. It's not happening twice. I'm just saying, like, the 2 matches against City and Arsenal, nobody wants to play City and Arsenal. Those 2 defenses are clearly 1 and 1A.
Superior.
Every other match this season, there's nothing else where you're like, no, I don't want to have any part of that, including Liverpool, who's still red. I don't buy it. I don't even really like that City is maroon because everybody gets chances against Manchester City. Everybody does. Anyway.
I believe you.
I'm just saying, like, the answer to your question is yes, get Douglas Luiz, but I'm just saying, like, I think we agree, Ollie Watkins, I don't know, man. The only way to me, I would try to find another way of getting even to get Salah into my team. I feel like I would want to find another way of doing it than getting rid of Ollie Watkins. It's gonna be almost impossible for me to do it that way. So it's either Haaland or Watkins, and I think if it's that again, you're keeping Haaland and you're selling Watkins.
Yeah.
If it means getting Salah.
Yeah.
This is a Mo Salah podcast. That's all this is about.
I am not Dave, but I do feel that today.
The reason why I kept saying Muniz, you have to talk about Muniz because in the Fulham Brighton game, which did happen, there is a recorded score. Brighton non-existent in that game. What else does Muniz have to do for you people to let him shake up the Haaland-Watkins-Solanke template? He had a goal and an assist here, gets 2 bonus, goes for 11 points. You always want 11 points out of your forward. I think that's an FPL rule.
How do you only get 2 bonus points with the goal and assist?
Really not sure. Who got 3? Did Harry Wilson get 3? Somebody else. There was something weird.
I'm gonna find out.
Someone weird got 3. 4 returns in his last 5 matches. We talked about him.
Wilson also had a goal and assist, so that it was probably a toss-up between the two.
Yeah. 4 returns in his last 5 matches, 42 points in the last 5 game weeks, which is second only to Ollie Watkins among forwards. And then he's tied for basically second, third, or fourth in every attacking stat.
I like him.
Beaten only by Watkins or Holland in some cases.
I like him, and he's got a good run coming up, starting game week 30.
Yeah.
So after they go to Tottenham, I think there is every chance in the world that he's going to be a hot commodity by then.
I'm saying even now this week, like they're starting right this second, their next 6 matches at Wolves, home Spurs, at Sheffield, at Nottingham Forest, home Newcastle, at West Ham. You tell me what is wrong with any of that.
Nothing's wrong with those. I guess I'm just not rushing to get to him. If it takes me a couple weeks to get there, I think that's fine. Why would you, again, because it's going to be Solanke, right? If you're looking at template teams, it's going to be Solanke that's going to get out of the way for Muniz, unless you gave us a lengthy description of why maybe somebody else, so that you can get to like Salah or something like that.
Well,
but
I guess what's hard is that's
you're not going to take Solanke on the double.
Well, you're definitely not taking him out of the double. 29, even in 29, where the temptation would be because of the blank. After 29 for Bournemouth, it's home Everton, home Palace, at Luton, home Manchester United. Like all of those matches are good.
And I guess my point is, I'm sitting on Solanke and not rushing to Muniz, even though he is playing out of his mind because of the double, and see what happens because the matchups are great. So if he's playing well through the double, he finds his sharpness again. I have no motivation to go off of Holland, Solanke, Watkins, especially because I already own Salah, right? So Muniz is definitely a good shout, and if you're looking for a replacement for, I don't know, Alvarez isn't classified as a forward, is he?
Julian Alvarez from Manchester City? Yes, he is.
So that could be somebody you could go to, or people run into Solanke, I guess, too. But if you don't want to go to Solanke, Muniz not a bad shout, especially because he doesn't blank. Right, he doesn't blank. Yeah, he doesn't blank.
Other than to me, there's just going to be so many weeks where there's going to be someone there's the Darwins are going to pop back up again and they're going to be tempting again. Yeah. Once you're done with City, I'm saying you as in you and your team.
Yeah.
Once you're done with Manchester City,
you have a good run.
That's pretty much it. You got Spurs in 36. Yeah. Spurs can spoil anybody, but
honestly, anybody can
at Anfield.
Anybody can spoil anybody. We also have to go to Old Trafford as well, so there's that. But it's not as scary as it has been. And honestly,
you're at Villa in 37. So that's Spurs at Villa, at Villa, part of a double. Likely
we got 4 matches. 4 matches that scare me. All the matches scare me, but 4 matches that scare me, and it's the Merseyside Derby.
True. You're at Everton.
It's away at Old Trafford. It's Villa and it's Tottenham. Like that. Those matches scare after City, obviously.
Okay.
Those matches scare me. So if we tie or beat City, we still have 4 very difficult matches on top of having to maintain and win late and win sloppy and ugly, probably in a couple different places. We still have 4 matches that are really going to try to derail any kind of title opportunity.
Not to drag this back to Ollie Watkins, but I think that now that you say it that way, they don't double again. They have no double. So the best you get out of Villa is 29 in a blank game week where so many other teams play not at all. But Villa does not have a double game week, and you're gonna have I don't think you're really gonna think about Chelsea. But you're going to have Liverpool with 2 doubles. You're going to have City with, you're not, that's why, again, I just don't think you're going to do anything to get rid of You're not getting rid of Haaland because they'll have at least one double again. Manchester United will have at least a double. So a Højlund comes back in once he's fit. I don't know why you wouldn't think about it if he comes back into any kind of form.
Yeah.
Newcastle's going to have at least one. Like, you're going to think maybe briefly about Isak.
No, I won't.
Okay.
Not even. You like him more than most people.
No, I mean, he scored this week. I mean, it was again like I'm my permanent feeling about him. I was for like etch it in the table so that everyone can see it for the rest of the season. Is that he's only fit for now? Like he's fit. He's fit as long as he's fit as long as he's fit. He needs surgery. Is the way they keep talking about it, and that's not going to happen until the off season.
Yeah.
It's more of going to be a management thing. And they're going to play him 60 minutes as long as they can. And then one of these weeks, it's just going to be, he felt something and we needed to be more cautious. And he's going to sit down. And then Anthony Gordon's going to go right back up front again.
Yeah, that solidifies
what I'm saying is like there are going to be those weeks where when Liverpool doubles, there is no way in the world you can tell me that you are not going to think about putting Darwin Nunez in.
No,
I already did it. I did it the double that happened. Like it's going to be one of those things where if it's the difference between Darwin in a double and Ollie Watkins in a single match week, you're buying Darwin.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that.
Okay. All right. So that's that's it. No more Ollie Watkins. He's off the podcast.
Well, we've covered a lot. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about or any?
I don't think so. I'm just kidding. I was gonna say, there's. I'm sure there's other things, but
we held on to your Dave thing that you were gonna deal with. But as far as I'm concerned, there was a lot that went on this week. There was a lot of goals, but we hit the big stuff.
Well, do you care about Son coming back? Like, is there anything that you would think of even now because they play in 29? Like again, to me, it's double or triple Spurs are going to be in everyone's free hit team in 29 if you're free hitting.
Yeah,
and if you're buying someone, you're probably buying Son. And the way that the masses are buying Christian Romero. He's already gone up in price once this week.
Interesting.
Which to me I feel like is a crazy thing when it was again the midfielders rolled this week. Eze was back, he scored an amazing goal, but Palace was awful.
And how long is he going to be healthy?
He played 65 minutes. Good job managing him, new Crystal Palace manager Oliver Glasner. But
good job for you for knowing his name.
Well, I had to write it down.
Oh, okay, good.
No one from Crystal Palace had more than one shot. They had 4 total shots. Eze's goal was the only Palace shot on target. And it was a free kick that was awesome, if you didn't see it. Maybe you could hear the cheering while the toilet was flushing. No. It was a free kick of an extremely low XG. It was a 0.09 XG, so that's an unbelievable. It's why XG is a liar. No, but Son, Madison, Timo Werner, Brennan Johnson. Those are your heroes. They all just crushed. So Son gets a goal at the end. Hit the woodwork at one point in the match. He cracked it pretty good. So could have had an even bigger day. Madison maybe not back up to full speed. Gets an assist. Timo Werner, awesome, just an amazingly worked goal for him. Put it away with authority, not Timo Werner at all. And he
does a lot of things with authority. They're just not good
his
things.
Goal is awesome, and it was all set up by the Premier League official had they highlighted Son and his kind of basically a juke run into the box, and then faded back out. It pulled all the defenders with Son, and Timo ran in behind. Brennan Johnson gets one of his 2 assists in his 27 minutes off the bench. My guy, Brennan Johnson, who if I was picking one of these guys if I was going to really roll the dice, it would be Brennan Johnson. I love him. I think what he's doing is awesome, and
we know you love him.
I know.
We know.
Everyone's buying Romero because Romero scored one of the goals. I just don't love going back to Spurs defensively. Like, the Pedro Porro moment was like, is such a unanimous thing for everybody because his stats were so crazy, but it's not like they were any better defensively when he was out there. They're better when Van de Ven and Romero are both out there, but it's not like they can still, to me, they just play too, again, Christian Romero is a lunatic, so he's a danger at all times of being sent off. And to me, they just play so, like, courageous, which leaves them exposed. Like, to me, I'm not really sure. Like, I get it. It's, you see Spurs playing this week and it's at Villa. That's bad. They're getting scored on. Even in blank game week 29, they're at Fulham. Like, what, are they going to keep a clean sheet against Fulham? They're not keeping a clean sheet at Fulham. I just don't think they just doesn't feel like they're built like that. If they've been close to a clean sheet, like, everybody wants to get it, so it's not like it's impossible for them to get them. I just don't know why. Like, what's the urge of getting like Van de Ven? I would do it just because he's the cheapest. But, like, you getting a Udogie? You got Udogie back in your team? Like, that just doesn't, to me, that just doesn't seem compute. Like it. Yeah. Maybe in game week 30 for Luton at home, but even then, like we said, that's no slouch team. So anyway, that's it. That's all I wanted to say.
No one last thing.
No, not unless you want to talk about Malo Gusto or Sergio Reguilon.
I have very little desire to talk about either of those.
Or Nicholas Jackson.
And very, very little desire to talk about any of those. What
it's just
making you want to talk about
just that Brentford play in 29. If you wanted to talk about Reguilon, he got an assist this week. 3 assists in his last 5 games. Can you stomach the 2s or 1s or even negative 1s from Reguilon?
He's cheap enough.
He's 4-4.
I just don't know if he's cheap enough.
That's just he's a trendy pick. Ben Mee is out though. Yeah. Fractured ankle, done for the season. I'm no Brentford expert, but I'm saying that Ben Mee being out does not help them defensively. So I'm saying, like, you're hoping for attacking returns from Reguilon. Do you want that? I don't know.
Not interested.
He does take corners, so there is that. He's been decent in the last, like, basically he's started most matches since game week 23.
Yeah, I toyed with bringing him in.
He's a top 5-ish defender for attacking stats in there. I don't know.
I got nothing on that one.
All right, that's it then.
All right. Well, we will be back next week with plenty of interesting things to talk about, I'm sure.
You do have a triple captain left?
I have all my chips left.
All right. And you are triple captaining Dominic Solanke. It is activated or no?
No, it's not. I am probably going to end up sitting on it, but I am still toying with the idea of doing it. I just need to talk myself into it. Okay. I just need to talk myself into it. I haven't gotten there yet.
All right.
So, very good. And you're not doing anything crazy?
No, although, again, you had to pin me down, and depending on how I shuffled this out, like, I could take out guys who are not playing in 29. I could still wild card before the deadline on Saturday and be set up for.
You've talked about it.
Tons of money left in the bank for the purpose of getting
wild card
Holland,
this week and then free
Salah,
hit the next week.
Yeah, not free hit in 29. I'm just
messing with you. Yes, wild card, so you don't have to free hit.
There's so many things that can happen. Game week 30 is like a big. It's like I've seen it multiple times. People saying, like, this is it really is week by week until you get some of these things cleared up, and until then, it's just you have to wait and see how a lot of this stuff shakes out. But the other thing was just looking at it and saying, why wouldn't I just wild card if I can hold it? Why wouldn't I just wait to wild card in game week 36 so that I can, like, just blow up the last 2 weeks of the season? But again, you're counting on a lot of things going certain ways, and that's so far away. So anyway, That actually is it. I'm glad we got to do this.
So am I. He's such a distraction. We don't need him.
Get well soon, Dave.
He's not sick.
He might be. He might be with all that stuff going on.
Whatever. All right. For the FPL America podcast, I am not Dave Smith. Good night.
Until next time.
Until next time.